Run it back nation, what is good? It is DJ Eastwood. Run it back Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros. Do me a favor and hit the like button. Let's get 1,000. Let's hit 1,000 this time, okay? That's the goal for this video, 1,000 likes. If you are extremely excited that the James Harden saga is over and you're excited to move forward with the Sixers roster and talk about this team in a fresh new light and energy, hit the like button, okay? So the James Harden thing happened. It's finally over. It's done. But the Sixers are probably not done making moves. And we are going to talk about what you might want to expect next. Now, before we get into that, there is this weird little rumor that Josh Harris, Sixers owner Josh Harris, is the one that made the James Harden trade and not Daryl Morey. A couple of different reports said it a couple of different ways. We'll just hear like how Shams said it. It's weird. I don't really know what to think about it. But just listen to what Shams said, and then we'll give our thoughts.
Shams Charania with breaking news powered by AT&T 5G. Finally, James Harden is a Clipper, and in a unique moment on Monday, sources tell me that Josh Harris and Steve Ballmer, the two owners of the Sixers and the Clippers, got on a call and ironed out the trade that sent Harden finally to LA.
So why were the owners the one that made the deal? There's 2 or 3 different ways this could have gone down. Maybe the deal was basically in place and the GMs needed like the final write-off, the final sign-off from ownership, and maybe that's how it happened. Maybe Daryl Morey and Sixers GM were in a standstill, and both owners were tired of watching it and wanted it to happen, and stepped in and made it happen. I think if Josh Harris stepped in and made the trade happen over Daryl Morey's head, that is not a good thing for Daryl Morey and his future as the 76ers GM. I can't figure it out. Maybe the owners were just like, I'm tired of watching this. I want this to be over with. Let's get it done. Forget what our GMs are talking about. Let's get it done. I don't know. That's just weird to me that a trade would happen and a rumor would come out that the owners were the ones that got on the phone and ironed out the trade details, because is that not your general manager's job? Let me know what you think about that. I also don't really like the sound of that, considering the rumors years ago that one of the Sixers owners, Scott O'Neal at the time, was one of the major components or one of the major dealers of the Mikal Bridges trade, where they traded Mikal Bridges on draft night for Zaire Smith, who I don't even know if he's in the NBA anymore, while Brett Brown was interim GM. And we thought, like, these owners have their hands in this thing way too much. This is never going to work unless the owners take a step back. So if we're in an era right now where we thought Josh Harris took a step back and then he's the one that stepped up and made the James Harden trade, just kind of crazy to think about. Now, Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated gives you this. Zach LaVine and OG Anunoby are 2 names to watch for the Philadelphia 76ers. And that's not breaking news by any means. When the trade went down and the Sixers got the assets they got in return for James Harden, everybody that has been following already knew that one of Daryl Morey's plans was to possibly flip those assets for another star that can help you win now. We've been saying Zach LaVine's name all summer. So I just think it's funny. You know, people are sending this to me, like, did you see the Sixers are interested in Zach LaVine? And I'm like, yeah, of course they're interested in Zach LaVine. You know what I mean? The fact that a Sports Illustrated writer said it doesn't really make it any more of a fact than it already was. This is pretty obvious that the Sixers are interested in Zach LaVine. I just find it funny with today's media and form of media and social media and everything that, you know, a general idea or a general knowledge can be out there, and then a writer says it, and it's like, oh my God, it's an official report now, and there's graphics on Instagram and up. Like, I already knew that. I don't understand why a writer saying it makes it any more of a fact than it already was. But Sixers are obviously interested in flipping those assets, probably for Zach LaVine. OG Anunoby is an interesting one from Toronto, as the Toronto Raptors, as I predicted, as anybody with a functioning brain predicted, are not having a good start to the NBA season. They don't have enough talent to compete really in the East, and the Toronto Raptors could be on the verge of moving some things around, and OG Anunoby's name keeps coming up in trade rumors, so the Sixers have probably an eye on him too. If Daryl Morey ends up flipping these couple of draft picks that he got in the James Harden trade for Zach LaVine and OG Anunoby, that would, I think, in my opinion, be a major, major W for the Sixers as far as looking at their roster as a championship-level roster. Because right now, yeah, we love what Tyrese Maxey's doing. We love at least what Joel Embiid looked like in the past 2 games, not so much in the Bucks game, but we love what he looked like in the last couple of games, again, against some lackluster opponents. But when you look at the Sixers roster as a whole, do you think that it is a championship contending roster? And the answer to that probably right now is no, at least roster-wise. I'm not saying it's not possible. Crazier things have happened in sports. But if you flip those assets for Zach LaVine and OG Anunoby somehow, some way, then yeah, I think you start to put the Sixers in that conversation of being a championship contender. I'm not sure. Now, the Bulls, if they're looking to blow it up and just get off of Zach LaVine's insanely huge contract, they might be interested in just the unprotected first-round pick and some other things in return, or multiple team deals. It could get complicated. The Raptors, OG Anunoby, if the Raptors are looking towards a full rebuild, they could also be just interested in draft picks. They could be interested in young players like Jaden Springer, maybe Paul Reed, who knows. But, just something interesting to think about. I think just seeing these two guys and looking at the Sixers roster right now and saying, we like it. We like the direction the Sixers are going in as far as trying to flip this thing around and rebuild it after the Harden trade in a timely fashion. But if you turn those assets into these two guys right here, then I think you really are having the conversation of the Sixers being a championship contender. So we will see. But definitely something to talk about. I know a lot of people, some people don't want Zach LaVine in Philly. They think he's just a shot chucker and a nobody, but Zach LaVine as a third option is something you definitely have to think about. I don't think he's a guy that is a number one option. I do think he's a guy that brings a lot of value, and would fit nicely in between, the point guard of Tyrese Maxey, the center of Joel Embiid. I think he would fit in. You'd probably have to, maybe you move Tobias Harris in a deal. Maybe you finally get rid of the Tobias Harris contract in a Zach LaVine deal, also expiring contract. If the Bulls want to blow it up and get some cap space for next summer, that could be part of it too. I also think Zach LaVine is a good name to consider when looking at, flipping those assets, because you don't want to take the ball out of the hands of Maxey per se, right? You want him to continue to grow and continue to run this offense. That's, again, one of the main reasons you made this Harden trade when you made it, is because Tyrese Maxey is here and he's here now. And Zach LaVine is a guy that can play off ball. He doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective. He's a real legit combo scoring wing. And so I don't think you're taking the ball away from Tyrese Maxey by landing Zach LaVine if you flip those assets for Zach LaVine. I think it would be a perfect fit, and I think you might be able to get the best out of Zach LaVine in that situation versus the other situations that he's been in. That's all I got. Subscribe to Running Back Philly if you're not subscribed yet. Hit the like button on the video. I'm going to be right here dropping all of the news right when it comes out. All Sixers season, game recaps, live shows during the day, news drops like this one. So subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and I'll see y'all soon.